a very famous story in India. I don't know whether you heard about the spiritual stories. We Indians are influenced by the ancient rules called dharma. Dharma means values or truth, or what was it originally, what it is now, what is in future will be eternally true, right? The truth does not alter. The times and the rules alter, which is the law, right? So if you do 2 by 2 matrix, right? So if you have 4 places, and then the scale of X is run by the middle animal instinct. I'm going to be grabbing what is mine. In that grabbing, empathy is one side, so rules are upheld, and encroachment and manipulation, which is like animalistic instinct, is where spirit is not upheld, right? So that is the negative. So animal instinct is in the middle, the x-axis. So in the x, if you if you have 4 square, if you are on the left, your spirit is not upheld. In the right, spirit is upheld. But in the y-axis on the top is the highest spirituality. Okay. And the bottom is where you use only rigid logic, law, bureaucracy, and stuff. So top y is plus, bottom y is minus. Do you get it?
Yeah,
so there's 0 point in the middle. So always the top right of the box is the highest we aspire for, where you want to upheld the spirit, you want to upheld the law. But that makes you, actually there was a guy called Ramayan. So he was the king. The minute he is thrown the king, the world, the stepmom makes him to go into the forest. So she would have her son make the rule. So the father watches helplessly because he cannot control his wife. Okay. So the son takes his stepmom's rule as the mother's word, and he leaves. So he pleases his wife and stuff, and he stays. Her rule is, you need to stay in the forest for 14 years. Meantime, my son will rule. The son, who is the brother of this, half-brother, he says, I'm going to leave your slipper in the throne because my mom wronged you, and I'm not going to rule and only have kingdom be ruled by your slippers. Essentially, even though he was gone, he was ruling, right? So the minute he comes back, people tell him, your wife is a fallen woman, because she was on the last year of their escape, a guy who never upheld the rules of the spirit, not so the bottom left, the opposite, right? He says, your wife is my wife. He captured. And he kept her in captivity for 1 year. So Ram was like, the ideal individual. So he lays everything according to law. He told, at that point, his own father was married to 3 girls, polygamy, right?
Yeah.
But he says, I'm going to be a one-man woman, right? And he goes to find her. He could have just left her with his Ravan and walked away, but he goes and finds her. And so he rescues her, brings her back. When he comes back to the kingdom, a laundryman says, how would you know she was pious? I would have thrown her out. And to obey the kingdom, he abandons her back in the forest. So he was the highest king with a value that he wanted to respect people's view. So personally, he lost out. Highest king who wants to uphold his mother's value, he still lost. So he could never please anybody, okay? He's a prime example of what you try to do with rigid logic, and you're miserable, no matter what you don't please. But the problem is, right, even now, people beat his picture with a slipper in India and they think he's not even a god. And his own place in India, worship place, the Muslims took over and they dismantled it and they built a mosque around it. So they're trying, even now, they're trying to build a temple where he was born, and still there is fight going on. Okay, this is the highest metrics. On the left side, where the spirit is upheld, but rules are always bent, is Krishna. Okay, the Krishna kingdom. And so Ram and Krishna are two opposites. That's why I'm saying. For the Krishna, he always, like, comes up with a way to solve any problem and not have rigid logic. So he is living in bureaucracy, but has figured out every way not to lose his soul and to keep, finds every loophole. That's like how you said expunging. That's amazing. You said expunge your arson in 20 years, sex offense in 15 years possibility, 10 years all criminal offense, right? So Krishna always believes in second chance. He actually, one guy came to kill him. He said, I'll give you 108 times for you to kill me. Only after you kill me, try to attempt murder on me on 109 times, I'll kill you. So he gives him 108 times pardon. Okay, and then he finally ruins them. Meaning, like he was always, and he had a kingdom given to him, and he decided it's too much work, so he always camped out. His kingdom was run by his delegates, and he was like in a campsite with them. And even now, and he was like, as a child, right? Like as a baby, he was abandoned because his mom's brother was a monster. He said the minute he's going to be born, he knew he's going to be the king because that was given by the gods. And because of that, he wanted to kill him as soon as the baby was delivered. So the baby is rescued and placed in a stall where they were raising animals and stuff. So the baby always grew up with his campsite kids. Okay. So when he was a baby, when he was like 5 or 6 years old, he went for a campsite and he had girls who were swimming, and he decided to pluck their clothes so when they come out, they would not be able to find it. And he was like playing flute on the top of the tree. And you know what politicians say? They say Krishna was a bastard for trying to steal women's clothes. He's a 5-year-old kid. And they blame him now. Can you believe it? And they are using his name in a way I couldn't even believe an old man is saying this about India, okay? And his diabolical opposite was a king. And that king used all sorts of bureaucracy, and his best friend, Krishna's classmate was Arjun. So he was his best friend. Arjun wins like a bow and arrow competition, and he wins a girl, okay, from the kingdom. And his mom, he is so excited, he goes to his home and he says, Mom, I win a prize. And his mom, not being aware, not even turning back, she says, you need to equally share with your brothers. So she ends up being shared by 5 brothers because bureaucracy at its highest. So for that, she has to live with one man every year, attain the last menses, not use fantasy, totally committed. And she's considered one of the pious women who was married to 5 men. And the guy who is the king of that country, he disrobes her in front of all the saints and stuff. And they are talking law and not trying to rescue her. Because the guy, one of the guys she was married to, plays her as a pawn in a game of pawn, like yes. Poker game, chess or something. So it's bureaucracy at its highest, and they were using rigid logic. And the opposite, Krishna, she finally begs, Krishna, please save me. And he gives a boon that her sarong, what she's wearing, would never run out of fabric. So that guy keeps running. He could never, ever disrobe her, and he gets exhausted. So what I'm saying is, Krishna was able to rescue her, and they are not even looking at it that he rescued, but they are even now blaming that he stole as a 5-year-old kid. So the world, no matter how good you are, it blames you. And it doesn't expunge you at all. You saying sex offender only have 15 years, and he's considered a sex offender in India. Can you believe? A 5-year-old kid. And how bureaucrat. And they don't even give him credit for the amount of yard of fabric he gave to this girl. And so that doesn't even come into their radar, so they would only know how to blame. So when you look at that 4x4 metric, I was thinking, oh my God, you can never win in this world. So I was thinking that's a 4 metric we play in within ourselves and our relationship, because always in marriage or relationship, we always have 2 people. One you are, one how people see you. That could be the Ram and Rama, right? Same way, they could be seeing you Krishna or Duryodhan, which is like, the other metric we play. The reason I'm bringing it up is yesterday, right? My one of my goal, I was doing a meditation last week, and it is an emperor, emperor training the kings. That's a meditation I'm doing. How to make, like how they say, let thy kingdom come, right? I want each person to train their army inside and be the king. Because we are never alone. Okay, we have an army, and there is a new game coming out called War on the Sparks. This girl goes back in time, resets everything, so the soldier comes back and see what the problem is and reset. It's a very nice game. I hope I want to buy and play it, because it's really nice to go back in time. Because I was told, go back in time 15 years, look at you as a mother, and see what you would have told that girl. And I remember me being in Chuck E. Cheese. I always raised my kids as a single parent. I've told you guys. And so I would have told that mom 15 years ago, take it easy. Life is not that bad. So I was stressing not having money instead. And I said, in 15 years' time, when I look at me today, I would have said I had the best time in the world. Seriously, there is nothing you really need to achieve to be better than what you are right now. That's, I hope I give it to you. So yesterday, right, one of my goals is to bring my kids all. I feel I'm going to do the biggest flight ever, bring them so far ahead. Poverty is not going to be an issue. World problem is not the issue, and they have been given a clean plate. My eldest one, I put him on the musical career path, which I told you guys, I went secretly recorded. So he's making his own music, and he's an audio engineer. My middle one went into forestry. So the one thing I look at it is how to get him to the next level. I found there is a movement called A-Forest, AFFORESTT. The reason is they want to create microforests in a very short amount of time, because we are deforesting very fast. But they found if you grow it together in a very dense way, like how I am doing microforests, they said you recreate forest. My goal is 3 years, 3-year forestation. But in real life, in India, they're doing it in 10 years' time. Recreating the whole evergreen. It has to be planted in such a way. It is 60 centimeter, which is 30 inches apart. Okay, each tree. And that's the only rule you have to follow everywhere. Each tree has to be, and it has to be layered. The tallest one, and then it has to be grouped in such a way, the tallest one, climbers are all in the back, soft bushes in the middle, and then the little ones that is eager for sunlight, ferns and all, in the middle. And by doing that, they said you improve moistness. So the moist layer grows mold, fungi and stuff, and it nourishes the soil, and you create more rain, and it is so dense you cannot even walk through. Okay, a forest movement. So I sent it to my son because he finally declared his major. He was looking into either environmental science or forest, and he said he's going to present it to his class because he loves it. So my third one, the first thing is independence. So like how you said you lost your car and he's turning 16. So I went and bought a car for him. I registered. I went and paid for his registration and everything. Today morning, he told me, Mom, I need a ride tonight from school. I said, I cannot give you a ride, but I said, take your car, park it only from here to school you need to go, which is less than like 2 miles. So my husband calls. My husband is on vacation this week till. I was very happy. My husband says, there is no way that he can make me sad. It's not possible by spirit. And he says, if I cry, it is very healing for my heart. Okay, that's his theory. Okay, so I was very happy. And I was like, when he said, honey, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing so good. Sasha took his car. He says, do you know he can forever be losing his driver's license? And he would never be able to drive again until he turns 18. And this is the guy, I told him day before yesterday, I'm buying the car. Yesterday, I told him I'm going to go to the registry. He never brings anything like this. So then I was shocked. And he says, do you know? But it's okay. If that happens to you, I'm good with it. Okay. And I'm saying, Keith, I'm doing my best.
Right.
And I said, tonight I cannot give him a ride to come back home.
Right.
This is the best way I could serve him,
Right.
And I said, the whole day I spent
right.
to go to registry and stuff. He never even brings it up in conversation.
Right.
So the first thing he said, so I cried a little bit, but I immediately know.
I have to be in Rhode Island at 12:30.
Yeah.
I have to punch up. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. But what I am saying is with this metric, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to release you in 1 minute. I'm just saying,
okay.
You can actually go now if you're interested. But I'm going to send you a medicine. Don't worry.
Yeah, no.
But what I want to finish with is I cried. And I know, according to my husband, the word I need to use is I'm healing my heart because he rips my heart and squeezes. That's a way to take revenge.
Right.
But according to him, he has no power to do that.
Right.
But I know before I spoke to him, I was in a very good space.
Right.
So it is my fault. I volunteer the information that I shouldn't have.
Right.
Miranda rights.
Right.
So he reads me, my rights, subconsciously. And he's always Mr. Right. He's the one who disrobes me. He's the one who thinks, I have a problem. He is the king who is miserable. He's also the king who's manipulative. In spite of all this, I run my life.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, in spite of my husband, I'm a single mother. In spite of my husband, I'm an emperor. But I think I can never win. This is a war I can never win. And that's the same at work too. With Dr. Do, I did it.
Yeah.
3 years I worked without pay, but still I cannot win. So one thing I'm learning is doesn't matter. My husband and the whole world is a lot of time. Sometimes I run ahead. Now I need to come back and catch up with them so that I don't need to run for another 30 years.
Yeah.
But I have to do what I have to do because my children, I have to make sure they come home at 8 o'clock at night because he's not going to be home until Saturday.
Right.
And when he comes, his rules are enforced. Like I bought this and he threw it out in the yard because he said it was bought without his permission. So that's why I got into microforest. And he says, I have no capacity to hurt you. And if you cry, it's very healing for the heart. I'm so glad to know your heart is healing. That's what I live with. So knowing what I know, not understanding something, I have to do still what I need to do because I need to get my kids ahead. Same thing I'm doing with you guys. I need to get you guys ahead. So sometimes I'm a little harsh on you because I feel if you don't show up with me, you have to live what I'm living with indirectly by paying time. But that doesn't mean you need to lose your cool. I understand, we spoke about your issues too. It doesn't matter how harsh the relationship is. We have to feel that feel. We have to shed the tears. The tears is not necessarily because we heal. It's because we are doing our very best, tearing our life to pieces. But people have no responsibility, accountability on the other side. But still, we are responsible how they view us. Right? Like, it doesn't matter whether they view us as a monster. It doesn't matter what it is, but I have to do what is right for them. And that's the same position you're doing. This as a regional manager, you have to be there for your clients, even though you haven't slept, you haven't done anything, you're running around. You know, I'm so proud of you. Okay, and thanks for putting up with me and and showing up for the meetings.
Well,
and stuff.
thank you for calling shenanigans on me. You know, when I definitely spoke out of line, and it's almost like I spit in your face when I said that after all the effort you put into me. But I didn't go down that path. It
That's
was
good.
just out of spite because of lack of sleep and the stress and the conditions. And I was trying to be everywhere at once, you know, for the 10,000 members that I represent and for my club and, you know, my fiance and the wake. And it was just.
One thing I can promise you is I'll never ever give up on you.
Yeah.
You do the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Never give up on me either.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Mm-hmm. I am there 100% for you guys, even if it means I need to lose myself, which I have done like in the past. But I don't need you to lose yourself, but just be plugged in. That's all. Yeah. You know, and it's okay. I never held it against you. No, but I am not going to put up with it either.
No, then you should tolerate it. But you put it in perspective, and I'm glad you did. You know,
I know. And making you cry was not my priority. Like, you know, see, I felt very hurt. I felt very hurt to see you in pain too. But that's the best I could do. I apologize for creating a problem for you.
That's okay. It's okay. We're good now. I'm still coming.
That's nice. I'm so proud of you. It's like having my own cubs, you know. You guys are the lion with pride. There are so many hyenas laughing out there. I don't care about them.
Right.
We are the lion with the pride. So I'm so proud of you guys. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for the group.
Yeah.